Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter a myth I know you've probably heard before, the idea that logic and imagination are somehow these totally opposing forces. Trust me, by the time we wrap up here, you'll be walking away with a high-level cognitive toolkit that blends both of them perfectly, turning you into a seriously effective problem solver.
I want you to just think about your daily life for a second. Whether we like it or not, we are constantly getting bombarded by incredibly complex global problems, right? I mean, financial crises, climate change, crazy new technologies, and a pace of life that just keeps speeding up. It's so easy to feel completely overwhelmed by all this chaos. And honestly, here's the harsh reality of living in this fast-paced environment. In our current age of absolute information overload, the specific facts you memorize today, they might literally become obsolete by tomorrow. Since knowledge expires that quickly, your raw thinking skills are basically the only true competitive advantage you have left to actually navigate the world.
So that brings us to a major roadblock. You know, most of us wrongly assume that logic and creativity are sworn enemies. We kind of tend to think that if you're highly logical, well, you must be rigid and uncreative. Or on the flip side, being a free-thinking creative spirit means you completely lack rationality. But what if they actually depend on one another?
All right, let's get into section 1, brain meets light bulb, the synergy of thought.
Let's establish our baselines here. Critical thinking is essentially your domain general skill of formulating ideas with real precision. It's all about detecting inconsistencies, analyzing problems systematically, and evaluating arguments based on the strict rules of logic. You can think of it as the analytical machinery of your mind.
Now, creativity, on the other hand, is your ability to generate fresh, genuinely useful ideas and to actively explore alternative possibilities. It's your mind's ability to just step entirely outside the standard framework and spot paths that simply aren't immediately obvious to everyone else.
And this is exactly what illustrates their synergy so brilliantly. They aren't opposites at all. Creativity acts as the engine, right? It generates the raw material, the new arguments, the alternative explanations, those unexpected counterexamples. Then, critical thinking steps in as your vital quality control system, systematically testing, evaluating, and perfecting those raw ideas. You literally cannot prosper with having both in your corner.
Consider this absolutely fascinating experiment detailed in the management book In Search of Excellence. Okay, so if you put highly logical bees into a glass bottle with the base facing a window, they will exhaust themselves endlessly trying to fly through the glass towards the light. Why? Because that is the logical exit. But meanwhile, completely chaotic, erratic flies will just flutter wildly and accidentally find the open neck of the bottle in minutes. It really goes to show that pure logic, without that creative ability to explore alternative possibilities, can actually become a fatal trap.
Moving right along to section 2, the cognitive toolbox. Here we'll look at 3 practical exercises. So tool number 1 is what we call the fourfold path. It's a simple but incredibly powerful method for structuring your analysis. Basically, it requires you to consistently ask 4 key questions about any claim you come across. What does it mean? What are the supporting reasons and objections? Why is it relevant? And what are the other possibilities? Let's actually apply this. For instance, say you're debating whether eating animals is wrong. First, you clarify the meaning, like what exactly counts as animals here? Are we talking about oysters? Bacteria? Then you systematically list out the reasons for and against. You question the relevance of the debate, maybe relating it to global poverty. And finally, you use creativity to explore alternative possibilities, like say eating lab-grown meat. This whole path forces a deep 360-degree evaluation of the issue. Next up is our second tool, and it's called the literal meaning test. This one trains your brain to distinguish exactly what a statement grammatically and literally means versus what is just, implicitly suggested, which is a concept known as conversational implicature. Just think about this question. Do you believe in UFOs? Interestingly, a 2005 poll showed that roughly 34% of Americans do. But what does that term actually mean? Literally, it just means an unidentified flying object. That could be a weather balloon you just can't identify. Yet people often argue endlessly and pointlessly because they skip right past that literal meaning and jump straight to the implicit assumption of, oh, it's an alien spaceship. It's the same thing if someone tells you, I love books. The conversational implicator there is that they love reading. But literally, it might simply mean they love collecting rare books as a financial investment.
Testing literal clarity like this instantly prevents massive misunderstandings, and it stops those completely pointless verbal disputes right in their tracks.
Okay, tool number 3 is argument mapping. Now, this isn't just about vaguely feeling like you're right about something. It actually requires you to physically count the number of arguments for and against a claim. Like, okay, I have 3 arguments for this and 2 against it. Doing this forces your brain to actively search out evidence on both sides, which is going to keep you impartial and analytically rigorous.
So the really crucial point here is that acquiring these cognitive skills takes practice, real, serious practice. In fact, psychologists have actually discovered this 10-year rule. It states that it takes about 10,000 hours of intensive, deliberate practice to reach a world-class level in any cognitive or physical skill. So yeah, good thinking definitely does not come for free. Even individuals we view as absolute, untouchable geniuses, think Mozart or Tiger Woods, they didn't just rely on natural talent. Did you know Mozart composed his first highly regarded original work only after composing for 10 years under his father's strict pressure? And Tiger Woods was swinging a sawed-off golf club at 9 months old. No way around it. They endured years of highly structured coaching to turn those raw skills into automatic, natural habits.
That brings us to Section 3, the mindset for success. Applying critical thinking to real life. For proof of this in action, look no further than billionaire investor Warren Buffett. He famously attributes his massive financial success to this exact critical thinking discipline. He firmly believes that if you can't literally write down an intelligent answer on a piece of paper for why you're taking a job or making an investment, well, you simply shouldn't do it. But to actually apply Buffett's discipline yourself, you need to adopt specific winning attitudes. You need independence of thought, which means having the willingness to go against conventional wisdom. You need open-mindedness so you can actually admit when you're wrong. And absolutely crucial, you need cool-headedness. You have to keep your ego, your fear, and your emotions from clouding those objective evaluations. Because ultimately, as the Greek philosopher Socrates so perfectly put it, the unexamined life is not worth living. Taking the time to evaluate and improve your ideas is quite literally the only way to transform yourself and your circumstances. Which leaves us with one final, absolutely vital question for you to chew on. How will you apply these tools to critically and creatively examine your own thoughts today?